to live off-grid, Dicky Dread. This is the third part in our series, and we're now on solar power for off-grid living the truth. As I say, it's part 3. So we're going to cover batteries today, and we've already covered how to get your solar panels, some of the calculations and how to check your solar panels are working correctly, etc. And we're now going to go on to the batteries. Very important part. So why batteries matter. So when people first start looking at solar, they often focus on the panels, but the battery is arguably the most important part of the whole system. Your panels generate the power, but your batteries store it for use at night or during bad weather. They get the biggest, so get the biggest batteries you can. Choose the right battery and you'll have years of reliable power. Choose the wrong one and you can end up replacing expensive batteries long before you expected. Different batteries vary in price, weight, maintenance requirements and lifespan. So it's worth understanding the options before spending your hard-earned cash, and we'll talk about all the different options in a minute. Please treat them with respect. Don't run them into the ground. Top up the water if necessary and treat them like your kids. You'll probably get more return. I was lucky enough to be given 3 fuck-off lithium batteries by some mates for free. I won't name them, but or everyone want one off them, but big respect to them. Thanks very much. So the different types of batteries. The first type is lead acid batteries. It's what is classically called your leisure battery. Have been powering off-grid systems for decades, and so they've also fueled my horse box and also my party wagon for years now. Flooded lead acid batteries are the cheapest, but need regular maintenance, include topping up with distilled water and proper ventilation. Absorbent glass mat, or just everyone knows them as AGM batteries, are sealed and maintenance free, making them popular for vans, caravans and boats. Gel batteries are also sealed and cope better with deeper discharges, although they charge more slowly and need careful charging. The biggest downside of all lead acid batteries is that they are heavy. And they really are heavy. I've done my back in getting one out from below my horse box once because I was sort of leaning over and doing it. So you really do need to be careful when you're lifting them. And you generally shouldn't discharge them below 50% if you want a reasonable lifespan. I'd say more like 75% to be honest, but you can go down to about 50. But the less you discharge them, the better. So lithium batteries. Today, lithium iron phosphate batteries, usually called LiFo or LiFePO4 batteries, are the gold standard for most off-grid systems. They're much lighter than lead acid batteries, charge faster, and can safely use about 90% of their capacity without any damage, sometimes even 100%. Many quality lithium batteries are rated for thousands of charge cycles and can last well over a decade. Prices have fallen dramatically in the recent years, making lithium increasingly affordable. The main thing to watch for is cold weather, though. Many lithium batteries should not be charged below 0 degrees freezing, unless you have built-in protection or some kind of heating around them. So, which battery should you choose? There's my 3 batteries there, and you can see the charge controller just above them. That charge controller is going to talk about in the next session, and that's an inverter underneath there. Although I don't actually use that inverter at the moment, but I'll explain my system. The rest of the things you can see in there are things like fuses, and of course the cables in. So, which battery should you choose? If budget is your main concern, flooded lead acid batteries are still the cheapest option. If you want something maintenance-free, AGM batteries are worth considering. But for most new off-grid systems, so lithium batteries usually offer the best long-term value because of their lifespan, lower weight and higher usable capacity. Whatever you choose, make sure your charger, inverter and solar charge controller are compatible with the battery types you're using. So another option that's become very popular is the portable power station, and there you can that's mine. You can see there in the picture. So I've got 2 of those actually. I've got a Jackery and that one's an EcoFlow. Units from companies like Bluetti, EcoFlow and Jackery combine a lithium battery, charge controller and inverter into a single portable box. They're incredibly easy to set up. Literally just take them out of the box and off you go. And ideal for people who don't want to build their own solar system from scratch. But the downside is that they generally cost more per unit of stored energy than buying separate components and building your own battery bank. Plus, what happens when they go wrong or you want to expand? You're unlikely to be able to take them apart and will fuck up any warranty if you do. Expansion is also difficult, and in my opinion, whilst I use them, I mainly just use just the inverter system, and they're really just an add-on. I think it's important to build up your knowledge in an understanding of your system by building it yourself from scratch. This also makes it much easier to expand. The Christmas sock, you can see, there was only one left, so I used it to stop the annoying LED light. Oh, and on that point, don't put one in the room when you want to sleep or have some peace, because the fans sound like a fucking 747 taking off. Okay, we're going to do some calculations. So the battery sizing doesn't have to be complicated. First, work out how many watt hours you use each day. And in this example, we're going to just use lights, phone charging, a water pump. It's going to add up to 160 watt hours. Next, divide by your battery voltage to convert the watt hours into amp hours. For a 12 volt system, that gives us about 13 amp hours per day. Finally, add some reserve capacity. In practice, most off-grid users would choose a battery much larger than the theoretical minimum. A 100 amp hour battery gives plenty of breathing space and keeps the battery happier over the long term. So let's go through that calculation. So you can see the daily usage. You've got 4 LED lights, so that's and they're 5 watts each. So that's 5 watts times 4. Times say 4 hours. You can have them on a day maybe. So that comes to about 80 watt hours. Phone charging takes about 20 watt hours. Obviously depends on your phone and the age of the battery in your phone. Water, and I have a water pump which takes about 60 watt hours. So total there comes to 160 watt hours per day. So that's how you'd add up. You just add up all your various devices. So to convert to amp hours, we go amp hours equals watt hours divided by voltage. So it's 160 watt hours divided by 12 volts, which gives us about 13 amp hours per day. Now, what battery size do we want then? So a lead acid battery, you need bigger is better basically. And if you've got the space and cash, go bigger than you think you need. It keeps your batteries happy and makes life a lot easier. So in this case, the roughly 13 amp hour, multiplied it by 2 there, and that gives us 26 amp hours minimum. And then the lithium, and the reason I multiplied it by 2 is because of the going down to 50% 50% discharge, and for the lithium I've multiplied it by about 10% of that 13, which gives 15 amp hours, and 10% there is just a rule of thumb number to add on for extra capacity. That gives a typical choice. Even though you've got 15 amp hours is your minimum, I'd go right up to 100 or 110 amp hour battery in that case. So you've got way more than you need, and that's the way you want it to be. Okay, so your battery choice will have a huge impact on how well your off-grid system performs. While lead acid batteries can still be a good budget option, lithium batteries have become the preferred choice for many off-grid users thanks to their long lifespan, lower weight and higher usable capacity. Whatever battery you choose, make sure it's sized correctly for your daily energy needs. It gives you enough reserve for cloudy days and unexpected power use. Get the batteries right and you'll have a reliable source of power wherever your adventures take you. Next time, we'll look at the charge controllers, the unsung heroes that protect your batteries and make sure you're getting the most out of your solar panels. So this is what we're going to cover going forward. Building a simple solar system, 12-volt lighting systems, modern power stations, your Bluettis, etc. We'll go more into those. Solar controllers, we'll actually do that next. Real world system design, common mistakes and safety, expanding your system. So thanks for watching, and see you in part 4 where we'll cover the charge controllers again. And if you can, like and leave comments, etc., it does get the message out there. It does help beat that algorithm. So stay well, stay safe, fuck the system.